So hello everyone, good afternoon, thank you for having us here. Actually, did you know that every day millions of people search for medicine online? Some pills contain nothing, but some contain toxic chemicals. And that's why it's not just about cybercrime, it's about life and death. I'm Lubos Bever, and I'm a threat researcher at Threat Intel team at Gen. Currently, I'm focusing on scams, particularly fake e-shops. And it's not so long ago when I was involved in a research about PDF threats. Outside of work, I do quite a lot of sim racing.
Hello everyone, my name is Rubín. I'm a threat research team lead, and I'm mainly focused on analyzing and reverse engineering information stealers. And I'm also leading a specialized team focused on combating data theft in general. I also do a lot of mentoring, and I'm a guest lecturer for a reverse engineering course at Czech Technical University in Prague. And in my free time, I'm also a musician. But before we start with the talk, I would like to actually ask you a question. Here what you can see are two screenshots. The screenshots are of e-shops, pharmacy e-shops, and one of them is fake. Do you know which one? Can you guess? So who thinks that the left one is fake? Please raise your hand. All right. Who thinks that the right one is fake? So it's like 50-50. Who thinks that both of them are actually fake? No, I'm just kidding. Only one of them is fake, and that's the left one. And from those who actually voted for the left one, why did you think so? It looks better. I kinda agree. Maybe other tells than the design itself, which is actually quite good, I would say as well. Could be the Viagra, Cialis, or maybe other, let's say, known medications. But there's actually so much more into this story, and Lubos will tell you more.
So how does it all started? Some time ago, we had the ongoing research about fake e-shops. We had a huge data set we had to analyze. And pharmacy side of the data set caught our attention. It first looked random, but then we saw some clusters, and then we realized it's not about just dozens of scams, but it's one massive infrastructure. After that, we came across an ABP, which is US non-profit organization trying to keep US patients online safe. And they reported that there is at least 40,000 of online pharmacies which failed to meet safety standards. And with that, they estimate that up to 95% of all online pharmacies operate illegally. So we can say that internet is flooded with the fake pharmacies. And they sell everything from counterfeit drugs to unapproved prescriptions. As I already said, they are not just isolated scams, but they are part of the well-organized massive infrastructure. And this infrastructure consists of thousands of domains, cloned storefronts, and shared payment gateways. All of that points to one single threat actor we have named MediPhantom. And as we can see on the image, it's really a huge global operation, but we will get to more details later on. Let's look at the online pharmacy space as such. It is actually a mix of highly trusted and legitimate providers and highly deceptive actors. The trusted pharmacies follow strict safety and operational standards. And this can be and is verified by national authorities. For example, FDA in the US, very famous one, or BfArM here in Germany. And this legitimacy can be verified online by the users. But here is the problem, many of them don't know how to do that. And that's why it's quite easy for threat actors to create false sense of legitimacy. And they are doing this by using fake badges of national authorities. Or logos of AV companies. They provide cheap pills, no prescription required, and they consist of overly positive customer reviews, and they often rely on fake payment gateways. Let's look at the MediPhantom scam operation. How does it work and how does it start? So usually when you have some medical problem, you go to see a doctor, but imagine the situation which is a bit more intimate. First of all, you try to Google solution, and at that time, you become an active victim for the threat actor. Basically, MediPhantom is actively monitoring social media platforms and public space to identify people seeking for high-demand medications. These are very often prescription-only medications or temporarily unavailable. As we can see on the image, so-called bestsellers for them are erectile dysfunction medications or some very powerful antibiotics for sexually transmitted infections. And with that, they also aggressively pushed forward ivermectin during public health crisis COVID-19 on behalf of its misinformation about its efficiency. After that, when the MediPhantom, like a threat actor, is aware about public health, let's say, they need to deliver links to fake pharmacy to pharmacy websites to its victims. This is not like easy job for them, but they adapted pretty well and pretty quickly. And why? Because there are continuously attempts to stop illegal pharmacies by governments and private sector. Some restrictions have been applied, and for example, online advertising platforms like Google, Bing, TikTok, and many others have policies to prevent advertising illegal online pharmacies. But they adapted. They developed some techniques we will uncover in the next slides. But before that, I should mention that we split methods to active ones and passive ones. Active methods depend on a threat actor's action directly, which means they are, for example, running spam campaigns, or they are managing their own fake review platforms aimed for the reviews only for the pharmacy websites. The passive methods are actually the most important one here. They depend on the victim actions, and they rely on the victims which are actively searching for medications online itself. And let's look at the example. For example, let's imagine you suffer from some sensitive health condition and you are frustrated and you try to Google the solution. So you land on some public forum which is grouping people with a similar problem. And for example, you can see there some banner ads where you can click and then you are immediately redirected to fake pharmacy. Or you just reading the comments on that forum and you see many promotional comments of some specific medications and also with the link to fake pharmacy injected. It is very often that threat actor itself is participating in commenting at that forums and injecting links to pharmacies. However, the most common victim for them are the ones which are actively searching for medications. And imagine the situation, you try to search for medication, you type it to Google, and you see first results of the Google. Among them are basically legitimate domains. However, they have been compromised by the MediPhantom. And after they hacked these domains, they injected there two types of content, let's say. First, they inject immediate redirect, which means when you click on that link in search engine results, you are immediately redirected to fake pharmacy, which creates a huge illusion of legitimacy. Or you land on that legitimate website where where some promotional content about specific pills, let's say by the doctor who recommends that and also works for some let's say surgery center. So there is a page with a recommendation by the doctor and promoting the specific drug, and also a link injected to fake pharmacy is present there. We can see that also crawler bots can be confused, and they provide description of the destination domain, not the legitimate one. Let's imagine a bit different situation. You know some local provider, some local pharmacy, so you try to type in to Google the name of the pharmacy, and you see some results. You click on the first result of the Google, and yeah, you just landed on a fake pharmacy. How are they doing that? They are actively monitoring public space, and they are impersonating real brands. Very often these brands or these real pharmacies does not provide or does not provide online service, but they create like a full pharmacy website from scratch, and they are trying to pretend that they are, for example, here this was some local pharmacy in Czech called Lekárna pod Strání, and they created fake pharmacy for that brand. All of that comes with the two consequences. First is that, as we can see, and it's already maybe expected, that links to fake pharmacies are among top results of search engines. But the second consequence of that search engine indexing manipulation is much more serious, and that is that even AI chatbots can be poisoned. We spotted the situation when the victim was actively trying to do his own research about prices of a Cialis, and AI chatbot returned the response with a link with a link to very frequent and known fake pharmacy here. So yeah, this is very serious as we trust AI more than we should nowadays. After the link to fake pharmacy is successful, you land on a pharmacy website. You trust it because it has a huge sense of legitimacy. You proceed through typical shopping workflow. So you just choose your desired medication, you add it to cart, and you proceed to payment. And very often these payment gateways are on separate domains, like the pharmacies. They are fully under the attacker's control. And there are three things very suspicious and important to talk about. First of all, they are requiring very often date of birth, which has nothing in common with a payment. Second, they provide 10% discount when you pay by crypto. So what a surprise! And they also include, and this one is the most important one, they include phone numbers and link to live chats when you can get advices, or you can be guided through shopping process by real people behind that. These communication channels are fully functional and are ready to be used.
I would like to continue with the hidden infrastructure behind the operation we call Mediphantom, because I find it quite interesting as well. I will follow with what Lubos was just mentioning, and that's basically focusing on the key characteristics regarding the infrastructure. Namely, I would definitely like to start with the payment gateways, because these are malicious, fake payment gateways where the user is redirected during the trying to buying the medication. but they serve ultimately for harvesting the information and basically sending the money either to the attacker's banking account or the crypto wallet address. We've seen many of those, more than 60 unique domains. Another one is the live chat system. Live chat system is used as on any other regular eShop, meaning that the user, the potential victim, can ask questions and the attacker can answer and basically help them to follow the process and like finish it. With that said, it is interesting because we tried that, communicating with the attackers, and from our research, it was apparent that real people were answering that. Like, at this point, we would be expecting chatbots or any other kind of LLM weaponization, but that didn't happen. We really think that there were real people, and they were providing answers to our questions. The same goes with the phone numbers. Quite commonly, both on the domains, meaning like the fake eShops, as well as the payment gateways, there is a phone number, which is also typical for payment gateways like the clean ones, the normal third-party ones. And the point here is that the user can call on that number, and in this case, on the other end of the line, there would be an attacker's call center, and again, the attackers would provide instructions how to basically follow through the scam and get scammed. And last but not least, of course, one of the key points is the domains. We detected more than 5,000 of those, and also we've seen many language localizations and variations of such. Speaking about domains, we could observe an exponential growth of such newly registered domains, but it is important to say that this doesn't necessarily mean that there is an exponential growth of the fake eShops itself, because there is quite frequent domain rotation performed by the attackers, especially in cases when security vendors start to detect the domains, so they basically rotate that so they can basically fire up a new eShop once again. There were other aspects that couldn't be used for any kind of, let's say, classification or attribution or clustering or something like that. But it is worth mentioning, we were looking into the SSL certificates used for the domains and also the hosting infrastructure or hosting providers that the attackers were using. But there was hardly ever any, let's say, certificate reuse. And the attackers were using Let's Encrypt, Sectigo, Google Trusted Services, and many others. Regarding the providers, they were using OVH Cloud, Cloudflare, and many, let's say, Russian-based providers. But we could use some of the aspects to make the attribution and ultimately call this group Mediphantom. And that's actually what we were already talking about, because typically, how we can do this is by observing some artifacts or characteristics on the web pages and trying to cluster them. And with that said, live chats and payment gateways are quite commonly intertwined. What I mean by this is that when the user visited some kind of fake eShop, it could have the live chat, and the same live chat could be reused on the payment gateway. So it was like the same one, for example, even with the same identical JavaScript code. And this basically provided how to link those clusters together and say that this comes from the same group. It goes beyond that because the attackers actually did exactly the same with the phone numbers. So basically, the phone number, like the string, was present both on the fake eShop site as well as on the payment gateway. And the attackers are trying really hard to make the third-party gateways look like legitimate third-party gateways, but it is literally impossible that a third-party gateway, meaning like a bank, for example, would have the same phone number as some kind of pharmacy eShop. That's kind of obvious that it belongs to the same actor. And when we put all of this together, basically we got only a single cluster of the data, and we call this group Mediphantom. So what we can do about this? How can we fight this? How can this be detected? Well, The detection is twofold. Unsurprisingly, we can do this statically. So we did a static analysis of the source code of the web pages. We were mostly focusing on JavaScript, CSS, and the images, and not just the images, but for example, even the names of the images or paths used for those images, and especially JavaScripts used in the live chats, payment gateways, and also the phone numbers, like really the string. As Lubos mentioned, there is, for obvious reasons, quite commonly heavily used of brand impersonification here. And this helped us as well because we could observe like reuse of HTML templates and such, and this could also be detected. Another angle is network-based. Imagine that you have the payment gateway, you have it detected, it is malicious, it is classified. So then you can look at the referrers, meaning from which domain the user actually visited the payment gateway. And that's malicious as well, right? Because it is literally impossible for the user to be on a clean website, clean domain, clean eShop, and to be redirected to the malicious payment gateway. That's by definition nonsense. So it belongs together. The domain can be detected. We can extract IOCs from that, detect those as well, and basically feed all of that into the detection pipeline and even automatically. From the geographic distribution perspective, Europe is the most affected, especially Switzerland, Greece, Austria, France, Spain, and many other countries. And outside of Europe, Japan, Australia, US, and Canada were also affected. We've seen at least 25 different localizations for the user's convenience, right? So this makes sense because the like specific countries are targeted. But why certain countries are more targeted than others, we don't really know. But of course, we have some hypotheses. It could be that some countries have, for example, more strict restrictions about the prescriptions of the medication, or even the price itself, right? Some countries might have some medication more expensive than others, and that unfortunately motivates the users to actually search for the medication from other sources than the trusted ones. I would like to conclude this talk with a few key takeaways that I think are really important, and the most important is the first one. I mean, this is not just about cybersecurity alone. Like, it's not just about scams, financial fraud, or anything else that we are unfortunately already used to in the cybersecurity industry. But this is about public health also, what we are talking about here. Like really, we can see articles all around the world mentioning like DOJ is persecuting 18 people because they were hosting online pharmacy, and 9 people actually died from that. So really, this is public health that we are talking about here. Also, this campaign and this operation is not an isolated scam, it is a global issue. And we are tracking this group under the name Mediphantom. With that said, it is even likely that there are many more groups than just this one. We were talking about only about Mediphantom, but really, there might be much more of those. I think that this operation is very technically and socially sophisticated because it really manipulates the users, the potential victims, into following the whole process and buy something that they really shouldn't be buying. Either it is like not working at all, or in the worst case, it will harm them because the medication contains some kind of stuff that they really would not like to take. We should be raising awareness about this topic, and not just on this awesome conference, but also like elsewhere, educate people, like really talk to your friends, talk to your family, tell them how they can recognize the legitimate pharmacy from the not legitimate pharmacy. What are the markings that they can verify? And also I would encourage people to trust local providers, because really, like, prescriptions are in place for a reason, and trying to go around that doesn't seem like a good idea. As always, people should beware of too good to be true offers. Lubos was mentioning a lot of those, so you get the picture. And also, security solutions can protect the users, because as we've described, the detection is possible. We are doing that, and it really helps and makes the difference. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please ask.